Welcome to Biz Help for You with host Candy Messer. Entrepreneurs like to focus on the big picture, like profitability, success, and a smooth running organization. But there always seems to be those little things like taxes, employee compensation, laws, regulations, and more. Now you can get the answers you need in one place. Join us today as we break it all down for you. Now, here's your host, Candy Messer.
Hello and welcome to Biz Help for You with Candy Messer. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the topic of my last episode. If you were unable to join me and would like to listen to the show, links can be found on my YouTube and Facebook pages, as well as multiple favorite podcast platforms. And if you'd like to receive notifications on when my podcasts have been uploaded, please like and subscribe. This episode is a little different as Elaine and I were both featured podcasters on an event called Podapalooza. We got on a call together later to do an interview swap, but since I didn't have her bio at the time of the recording, it's not included. So let me tell you a little bit about Elaine now. Elaine Starling, the Abundance Ambassador, is a sought-after TEDx speaker, international speaker, coach, trainer, and successful entrepreneur. Elaine's unusual spiritual awakening prompted her to help women entrepreneurs struggling with abundance. Elaine leads fellow travelers on Abundance Journey's 6-week experience, sharing proven business strategies with personal development and spiritual insights that amplify results. Now, listen to my interview with Elaine. Well, Elaine, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is such a blast. I love chatting with you, Candy, and to get to be on your show and support you this way is really fun.
And I am very happy to have you as a guest as well. I know we've talked before just from some of the things we've been involved in and learned a little bit about each other, but I haven't had the chance to interview you. So I'm glad that you're here and we'll be talking on the topic. But before I get into any questions that I have for you on this specific topic, I would love for you to tell me just a little bit more about yourself. How did you even become involved in sharing your tips with entrepreneurs?
You know, it's an interesting story. I have had my own small business for 30 years and it was doing okay. I kind of hit a bit of a roadblock and was trying to figure out how to reinvent my business and what to do next. And then I had a stroke. And during my stroke, I had a conversation with the divine that changed everything. And now I understand kind of the intersection of why we're here and what we're actually bringing to the table. And it's why I created my TEDx talk, Abundance is a Choice, because people don't understand what they're choosing by default. And often, especially as a small business owner, like I am, it's really easy to get overwhelmed and trapped in all the doing and all the things that are on your to-do list. And in reality, there's who you're being as you're doing things. You're in partnership with the divine. It's not all on you. And when you learn how to kind of step out of the way, get the ego out of the way, and truly show up for your clients. And your focus is on them. Your focus is not on, oh, I'm having a bad hair day, or what are they going to think, or they're going to judge me. No. People just want to be helped. I mean, come on. People just want help with their problems. And when you're willing to step in and do that, trust me, they'll direct you. They'll say, no, a little more to the left, a little higher. Yeah, over. Oh, that's perfect. That's just what I need, right? It's just like a back rub. It's like, yeah, well, almost. Yeah. So I think people as entrepreneurs make it harder than it really is. And so I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs understand what's truly going on behind the scenes, the 4 different aspects of growth that you experience over and over and over again. And eventually you realize it's an infinity symbol because you're always challenged to grow. And trust me, you don't think so, but spirituality is at the core of everything you want. How you show up determines everything you get, especially in your business.
And there's so many things that you just mentioned in that introduction that I'm like, oh, I want to remember to go back and talk about that. But one of the things that you also mentioned too is you're making a choice by default, right? And I think a lot of people forget that. If I say yes to something, I'm saying no to something else, or there's an opportunity cost, you're losing something if you're not doing something else sometimes too. And so, like, why don't you touch on that a little bit more? Because I don't think people always think that through.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You have the superpower of choice. You get to choose. You often think that the world is just forcing things on you, but it's not really. It's providing contrast, trying to get you to make a choice. Now, the first choice is about your intention. That's how you want to feel in the present moment and how you want your clients to feel.
Mhm.
So I like to look at the extremes because it's always easier to see when it's clearly black or clearly white. So on one extreme is that desire to be right. I mean,
Mhm.
especially as an entrepreneur, a small business owner, you're consulting and coaching your clients. You're trying to guide them where they want to go. And so
Mhm.
you want to feel like you have the definitive answer for them to help them get where they want to go. I just hold that thought for a moment. Okay. So the need to be right is at one extreme. The other extreme is the need to be receptive, to let
Mhm.
in all the information from your clients about all their frustrations, all their fears, all their anxieties, all their needs, all their priorities, all their evaluation criteria. And when you let all of that in without focusing on what you offer and how you think about things, it's almost like somebody's dealing you a whole bunch of cards and you're in the middle of a card game. And all of a sudden, you've got all these different cards that you can choose from. So you can play your hand however you want. It just, the options are so unlimited when you're open to let your
Mhm.
client show up however they need to show up. Because honestly, helping your clients feel heard and understood and valued, and like you can provide a solution that really meets their needs. I mean, once you
Mhm.
understand where they're coming from, you're much more likely to be able to make a connection saying, oh, here's how what I do really addresses those concerns you just mentioned. Right?
Mhm.
That's totally different from showing up and saying, I've got this rubber stamp here. I'm going to force you to fit my mold. It's
Right.
not very appealing. Nobody really wants to get stamped. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and I think too, when you are not stuck with an outcome of I'm going to end up with the client at the end of this, right? Then you really can listen to what they need and see, do you really have something that's going to be a solution for them? If not, you're doing them a favor by actually allowing them to find the right resource. But if they are, and you're able to share, like, this is what I have, I know it's a great solution for you, and this is why, then it's a great fit, but then again, you've given them the opportunity to share what they're dealing with. So you get a picture. So you know if you can really help them or not.
Well, there are three things people always need. No matter what industry they're in, no matter what industry you're in, there are three things you can give that they will find so incredibly valuable. And the first one is clarity,
Mm.
because we don't know what we don't know. And we're always too close to our own stuff. So being able to provide that perspective and say, I think what's going on for you is this. I see the huge value you provide is this. They'll go, whoa, it's just such a relief to
Mhm.
suddenly have clarity when everything's just been a fog, right? So that's the first thing people want is clarity. The second thing they want is confidence. They
Mm.
really want to feel like what they're doing matters and makes a difference and is needed. And when you can help them articulate what is so valuable about what they're doing and just validate what is so valuable about what they're doing, that's another huge benefit that you're providing to your prospect or your client. And then the
Mhm.
third thing that everybody wants is a clear plan of action that they can commit to.
Yes.
We want to know where we're going. You know, it always feels like we're kind of fumbling around in the dark, and every once in a while, something brilliant happens. And that's why when you show up truly with that intention to serve and you put your attention, your focus on what is working in the moment, that is a huge game changer because it's so easy to look at all the things that aren't there yet, all the things that aren't
Mhm.
right yet, all the things that bother you. I was expecting to get 5 clients out of this, and I don't see a single one. There's a waste of my time, right? It doesn't put you in the space to truly be supportive and empowering and encouraging for your prospects. And that's what
Mhm.
attracts them to you. They see that you really get them, you value them, you can help them. Hey, presto, they want to be helped.
Right, exactly. I mean, if they're out there searching, it's because they need a solution, and being able to listen and offer those things if you really can, those are important. So I love that you pointed that out. And then when you were talking about in your description, the infinity and the stages of growth, I would love for you to touch on that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really interesting because everybody starts out with a problem. And after having my stroke and my conversation with the divine, I've completely redefined what that problem is and what it really means for you. So I want you to take on this new perspective every single time you get that knee jerk response that you think, uh-oh, the stuff just hit the fan. Okay. Because in reality, what has happened is you just graduated.
Hmm.
The fourth part is where everything's going great. This is prosperity. This is where everything's smooth sailing and you're just in the groove and it's so easy and effortless. And then all of a sudden, uh-oh, all that means is that you're ready to expand and grow even more. And
Hmm.
the divine knows that you're capable of so much more. You could add another facet to your business. You could help your clients in an even more powerful way. And so you're being challenged and given the opportunity to expand into more. And it always feels a little anxiety producing, right? You get
Right.
that churning in your stomach. Well, if
Hmm.
you've got three different brains, you've got a body brain, you've got a heart brain, and you've got the mind between the ears, right? The challenge with the mind is it's the tip of the tail at the end of the dog. It's the last one to figure things out. And it always thinks it's in charge, which is really entertaining. So, yeah, so the mind wants to be in control. It wants to know what's coming. It wants logic and sequences and orderly processes and guaranteed outcomes would be really good. And that's generally not how things show up. The
Hmm.
more open you are to let opportunities come your way, the more opportunities do come your way. So, what's really important about that churning in your stomach is if your mind pays attention to the churning in your stomach, it is labeled anxiety.
Hmm.
If your heart pays attention to that churning in your stomach, it's labeled anticipation. I
Hmm.
don't know what's coming. I've got a pile of presents. It doesn't matter what order I open them in. This is going to be fun. I can't
Hmm.
wait. So, how you show up makes all the difference in whether you're attractive to someone or they just don't really want to hang out with you because you come across as so needy and desperate and you know they don't really
Right.
want that, right?
Hmm. Exactly. Well, it's interesting you talk about like the two different perspectives. It's the exact same thing, and you either have anxiety or anticipation. And so, like I said, reframing that opportunity as a positive instead of a scary thing. It's not always easy, but that's where that shift needs to happen.
It's so funny. So many entrepreneurs that I work with, they always they always want to start at the back of the book. Give me the answer, right? I want to know. But the problem is the fun part is letting it naturally open and occur
Mhm.
for you. It's going through each individual page and getting to know the characters and understanding their problems and what they need to overcome and having them receive these insights and these transformations. And the thing that's so cool is when you're willing to show up with that intention of being receptive, you're holding the space for your prospect and client to be incredibly successful beyond their wildest imagination. You're
Mhm.
holding that space for them. And guess what? When they're successful, you're successful.
Mhm.
And so often people make the mistake of going, yeah, but I got to get my stuff first. I got to make sure that they sign up for my list and they got to get my thing and mine. No, just be there to support them
Mhm.
and let the right people come to you. Because frankly, if they don't come to you, they're not the right person to work with you.
Mhm. That's not always easy,
I
though, right?
know,
Especially
I
if someone's
know.
starting out, they're concerned, right? I need to get clients. I need to be able to pay the bills. I need to have, XYZ. So maybe talk to the person who is in that area of fear right now because maybe, they've lost a job and they have to get the income, or, there's just a lot of financial pressures. And so they're thinking, well, I have to take anything that comes along. I have to put out there. I'm going to do, whatever. What can you say to help them through that fear and get to where they really can be the resource that those clients need, and they can be found by the right ideal customers?
Absolutely. This is going to be totally counterintuitive. And your mind, you might want to tell your mind to take a little nap right now because it's not going to agree with this. Okay. And it totally works. It totally works every single time. So, what I'm going to tell you to do is celebrate in advance. Get excited, get pumped about that anticipation that you're feeling in your stomach, that you're going to meet some really cool people as you go out and network. And you're just there to listen. You're just there to absorb the information and be of service. Even if they're not a direct fit for you, maybe you've got a referral for them. Maybe you've got a resource that they'd really enjoy. And the thing that's so fascinating about networking, you give first. You show up to give, you let the other person talk and get really clear on what they need help with. And then step two, you help them. I know, very interesting, right? You help them. And that creates the desire to return the favor. Reciprocity kicks in. And eventually they will lean in and say, well, you've been so helpful. Thank you so much. What can I do to support you? And then you can let them know this is what I'm up to. Too often, people who are starting out come to a networking event and they're just handing out business cards, like they're shuffling cards, right? It's like, oh, I need business, I need business. No, that's the wrong way to go around getting business. And one of the things that I encourage you to do, and I know this is a little woo woo, I didn't woo before my stroke, let alone woo woo. And now I'm all over it. I want you to create what I call blessing balls before you ever go to the networking event. You're going to imagine all these wonderful people that you're going to meet. And you're just going to have such a good time. And it's going to feel like a really warm, supporting environment. And you just can't wait to be there and discover what people need. Because the more conversations you have like that, the more you understand the businesses they actually want to pay you for, the services they really want to buy from you. And because you've taken the time to make that relationship happen, I can't tell you how many studies are out there where someone will hire a consultant because they really like the person, they really get the person. It doesn't matter if you don't have the exact skills, if you don't meet every single criteria. The fact that you made the connection is what's most important to your prospects. There's a really interesting study out there that shows that when there's a job opportunity, if men meet, I think it's 60% of the criteria, they'll apply for the job. A woman won't apply for the job unless she meets 100% of the criteria. Don't be like that. You don't even know what the job is until you have the conversation and you find out what they truly need. So being willing to just be there and hold that space, celebrate in advance, send them blessing balls of love ahead of time. I can't wait to meet you. This is going to be such a fun, dynamic conversation. Doesn't matter what we talk about. It's going to be a blast. And I know the perfect things are going to flow to me at the perfect time. I can't wait to meet you. And then go and serve.
Well, that's like a great tip too. And a lot of times, like you said, people feel like they have to talk to a whole bunch of people, and especially for introverts, that's a very scary thing, right? So going and just saying like, I only need to really talk to 2 or 3 people and maybe have a deeper conversation and really get to know those people instead of feeling like I have to work the room,
Right.
I think that's really important for people as well. As networking doesn't mean you have to meet every single person in that room and get a business card from every single person.
Very true. And it's funny because I'm an extroverted introvert. So when I'm in public, I come across as extroverted. And when I do my podcast, I seem like I'm really extroverted. I need a lot of time to regroup after I've been showing up. And that's fine. Whatever your approach is perfect because there are people in the room who need that complementary space. If you're more introverted, that's great. Go and support somebody who isn't as introverted as you, or support another person who is introverted, who really needs that friendly face. You can't go wrong, honestly.
Right. And if you're afraid to be in that room on your own, have a friend go with you. You could, partner with each other. Like you said, especially if you're both introverts, you could help each other, right? And it's easier. But I think going in, like you said, with a mindset of positivity is really good too. And it is scary. Like I actually am a shy introvert. I've had to get out of my little shell and, and that has helped me build my business too by doing that networking. And it is scary. And so that's, even from my own perspective of what I have learned is, go in be willing to see who else may be looking around for someone to chat with too, and really starting a conversation with them. And then maybe you can move on, and like just really thinking it's a scary thing sometimes, but it's okay. We're going to be fine. And if we're just ourselves, we don't have to have a script that we have to talk about. And like you said, if you're there to learn and find out the needs of someone else, and then you're just there to meet that need, and maybe you find an article that will be helpful, or maybe you're able to introduce them to somebody. It's easier when that's your focus, is really, I just want to be able to be a resource. And then in the long run, like you said, people are going to want to help you as well because you have given so much to them.
Absolutely. And don't think that this has to take forever either. This can happen in a 3 to 5 minute conversation where you find out what somebody needs. And you're like, hey, I'll get back to you on that. I have a great book that I know would be useful to you, and these 2 contacts. So let me do an email introduction. I'll get that to you in the next 48 hours. And then they'll go, wow, that's really great. Thank you so much. What about you? What are you up to? How can I support you? And be willing to be supported. Yeah, that's one of the other gotchas that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. They're so eager to give. They never receive. And in reality, your willingness to be willing to receive is really important, because people want to support you. They don't want to feel icky that they just took and took and took. They really want to be able to support you. So go to your networking event knowing what you need help with. And it might be, I'd like to meet this kind of person. You know, these are the sorts of services I do. I need to meet with marketing directors at companies of this size. Do you know anybody that would be appropriate? Or I'm also trying to get articles published at these kinds of places, or blogs. Do you know anybody who would be willing to take my article and have me do a guest article for them? There's all kinds of things you can ask for. And there's also 5 things that you can do to make it easier for people to connect with you, and for you to connect with them and make a difference for their lives. So I would love to make my free guide available to your audience. It's the 5 social things you can do that immediately foster that relationship.
That's great. I always do ask, if someone has an offer they'd like to share. So if you want to mention how they can find that resource, that would be great.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you the URL, and would you mind putting it in the show notes? Because that's going to be the easiest thing. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And feel free to visit theabundancejourney.com to get some more information about what's going on behind the scenes and how you can make it a whole lot easier to love your business and love your life.
Perfect. And if someone is interested in learning more from you, like, where else can they find you besides your website?
And they can also find me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Those are the 2 places I go to the most. I also have a podcast, and you can find the podcast on Apple iTunes, as well as the video version on my YouTube channel, The Abundance
Perfect.
Journey.
Do you want to give a little more information on what you share on your podcast?
Sure. The Abundance Journey is all about your life, which is a journey of abundance. And so I like to chat with amazing people like Candy about what they do and what area of their life is already abundant. Because if one area of your life is abundant, all areas of your life can be abundant. And to me, abundance is an emotion that you feel first. I call it, yeah, baby. It's that emotion when you're just so jazzed and excited and happy, and you don't care what's coming, because it doesn't matter. You're going to have fun no matter what. You're just going to have a blast with other people. And when you're in that space, you're unstoppable. So I'm trying to ignite that yeah, baby energy in everybody. And I also encourage you to check out my TEDx talk, which is called Abundance is a Choice. Because it really truly is. And I want you to choose the right kind.
Well, make sure you give us a link to that so we can put that in the show notes as well.
Okay, I sure will.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on my show, Elaine, and talking about this. It's been a fun discussion.
I'm sure it's not the normal conversation you have, but I think it's really important for people to understand that you're an incredible blessing, exactly as you are. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're really not. You're designed with all your skills, abilities, talents, preferences, as well as your hot buttons, your issues, your problems, all of that stuff combines to make you a unique and incredibly valuable person on this planet. And so when you are willing to show up just being you, the gift that you are, with the desire to serve other people, you're magnetic and your business is really going to take off.
That was a great last tip. So thank you for sharing that with them too. And I know this has been a fun topic, interesting. Like I said, not necessarily something that when people think of Biz Help for You, I'm going to talk about abundance or things like that too, but it all is important. It all goes in together of how we end up running our successful businesses, because there are all these things that we have to be able to do to make sure that we are successful. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you found this topic interesting and that it answered some questions about the abundance journey. If you have any additional questions or comments, be sure to reach out to Elaine at the links that she shared, or you can send me a message at media@abandp.com. I hope you can join me for my next topic. And please remember, you can connect with me on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And my website is abandp.com. You could also find the podcast posted on multiple favorite podcast platforms, including Google, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And would you please share our show with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? I'd really appreciate your support. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.